Hey everyone, this is Rick Theriault, your Maine Real Estate Guide, and today I'm on location in the small town, northern Maine town of St. Francis, Maine. And what we've got coming to market is not my typical country home, but this is a turnkey business opportunity that includes a house and a home. But this is what we're looking for today. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for someone out there that's going to see this video that is looking for a change. Maybe you're tired of the city life and you've dreamt of, owning your own recreational business in the northern part of Maine, and you just, how can I get started? How do I, I want to do this, but where do I start? Well, what we have is a turnkey opportunity. What I'm selling is the Pelletier Campground, which includes a roughly 1,100 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bath house that's all updated and completely furnished with an attached 2-car garage, situated on 9.96 acres of riverfront land. And behind me, you see the St. John River, and there's roughly 800 feet of frontage on the St. John. This business has been around for about 75 years, so it's stood the test of time. The current owner has operated it for nearly 4 decades, 39 years and counting. And what this is primarily is a canoe shuttle business. He caters to people canoeing the Allagash Wilderness Waterway, as well as the St. John River, and now the Northern Forest Canoe Trail. And so this is again a turnkey opportunity. Comes with all the business equipment, which includes 5 vans, 3 pickups, trailers, canoes, paddles, life jackets, camping equipment, the grounds here, the home, and it's coming to market at $499,000. So we'll talk a little bit more about the equipment that goes with it, as well as we'll go inside and outside of the house. But right now I'm right down here on at Pelletier Campground, which is a tent campground along the St. John River. It's the last campsite on the Northern Forest Canoe Trail before you take out in Fort Kent. It's in immaculate condition. Norman L'Italien, the current owner, recently this spring had all these canopies over the picnic tables, all updated with new pressure treated timbers. What was here before, probably cedar posts that had probably been here for 75 years, and they had served their purpose and needed to be replaced. So we replaced all the timbers, put new metal roofing on them, and what's here will probably last for another 75 years. So let's take a look around the grounds, and we'll talk a little bit more about the equipment as we get up there. But this is just a beautiful opportunity for someone that's a go-getter, that is willing to work. This is a great business. Norman's willing to stick around for 6 months to a year as a mentor to show you the ropes. He's use his wisdom, use his trial and error, his mistakes. He's learned to operate this business, so to be a profitable enterprise with very little in the way of hiccups. And so this is an incredible opportunity with room for growth. So let's take a walk around and a little chat about the area. Again, we're in the small town of St. Francis, right here on the shores of the St. John River, up here in the St. John Valley on the Maine-Canadian border with New Brunswick. So let's take a look around. So the grounds have a really nice driveway that comes down and goes pretty much right to the river's edge. So when people finish their trip, if they decide to canoe all the way here, and some do and some don't, there are other takeouts up in the town of Allagash as well. But this is the takeout right at Pelletier Campground, and you can easily get your canoes out and get them loaded on your vehicle for the trip home. But this is just a beautiful tent campground with picnic tables, stone fire pits. Everything's fully stocked with campfire wood. Norman keeps the grounds meticulous. Everything's nicely mowed. When things need to be repaired, they get repaired. It looks like this picnic table needed a new top, so one was added. There is no electricity down here. Again, this is a primitive campsite on the St. John River that caters primarily to canoe enthusiasts. You know, there's roughly 3,000 to 4,000 people a year that canoe the Allagash Wilderness Waterway, which was established back in the 60s as I think it was the nation's first wild and scenic waterway. It's a very popular canoe trip, and it can be broken up into sections. If you do the whole thing, it's probably a 12-day journey to paddle across Chamberlain Lake and Churchill and others, and then come down the Allagash River all the way to the town of Allagash. Some people do that whole journey. Some people choose to put in at Churchill and avoid those long paddles across the lake. But it's a very, very popular endeavor. There's a nice privy here adjacent to the campsite conveniently. So in chatting with Norman over the last few weeks as we discussed marketing this business opportunity, you know, he says he stays busy primarily from late April through the end of October. That's pretty much the end of canoe season here in Maine, and then he'll spend the next few weeks getting his vehicles repaired if they need, and fluids changed, and get everything ready for the next season. So rather than, you know, put off till tomorrow what you should be doing today, he does today what he should be. And so when it comes time to make hay, as they say, he's ready to go in the springtime. His vehicles have all, if they needed brakes, they've got them. If all the oil's been changed, and anything that needed to be repaired has been. So it's good to go when it's time to get busy. Norman caters primarily to larger groups, although he does have some small, you know, 2 and 3 person people, but he's got the equipment to handle large groups, a dozen or more at a time, because he's got 5 passenger vans, canoe trailers that carry multiple canoes, over 60 canoes in-house, and the paddles and life jackets to go with them. And he's been operating this business for nearly 40 years. As we come up the hill from the St. John River and the campsite onto the main grounds where he parks his vehicles and some customer cars, and all the canoes in the home are located. Everything's neat and orderly, as it should be. There's nothing haphazard about this operation at all. Got nice crushed stone driveway here. Up by the house it's paved. He's got racks for storing the canoes, keeping them up and out of the elements. Solar lighting to assist if you're putting them up in the dark. And here's some of the 15 passenger vans that he utilizes in his business. And he's got, I believe, 4 or 5 of them. Let's see, yeah, 5 vans and 3 pickup trucks. And again, all the equipment transfers with the purchase. And this is coming to market at $499,000. Now, one of the convenience features for having this business located right here is its proximity to a small country store. Joe's Country Store is right there, where people can get sandwiches and sodas and potato chips and ring dings and you know, pack of smokes if they if they ran out of cigarettes on their trip down the Allagash. They can get them there at Joe's Country Store. Um, and just up the street is a little diner. So if you're hankering for, you know, something other than, you know, a campfire meal, you can have a sit-down meal in the diner, or buy a sandwich and a bag of chips at Joe's Country Diner, Joe's Country Store. Now, I mentioned a couple of different canoe trips as we were talking. I'll elaborate a little further on them. Now, the Allagash River is you know, the Allagash Wilderness Waterway was established in, I think, 1966, and as the nation's first wild and scenic river, and it has, you know, pretty consistent tourism on that waterway year after year after year. So you've got a book of business that continues to come here with new folks deciding to canoe the Allagash as an adventure every year. And the logistics involved in a canoe trip like that, where you put in, you know, a few hours upriver, you know, by a logging road to get into where you put your canoe or leave your vehicle if you're trying to do this on your own. So how do you get back to your vehicle? And that's where this, you know, Pelletier's Campground and this shuttle business come into play, because they coordinate getting your vehicles picked up and brought out to where you're going to take out, so that when you get there after your trip, your vehicle is there, and the keys are handy, and so that you know, you can end your trip and not worry about how you're going to get back up to get your car. It's all taken care of, and you don't need to coordinate with multiple drop-off vehicles and then going back through the woods. You know, that's where, you know, business like this one, that need is ever present. The other canoe trip that is kind of like the canoeist version of the Appalachian Trail is the Northern Forest Canoe Trail, which starts in Old Forge, New York, and goes for 700 miles from New York across Vermont, New Hampshire, into Maine, and down the Allagash to Fort Kent, Maine. It's a 700-mile journey. And that canoe trip, just like the Appalachian Trail, some people break it down into little pieces, you know, and they you know, will do sections. They take a week off and do a section, you know, and the following year do another section. And then there are through paddlers that do the whole thing, and that's quite an endeavor. Can you imagine a 700-mile canoe trip, paddling across lakes and down rivers and portaging and all that's involved with a 700-mile trip? Again, that's where someone like Norman and Pelletier Campground come into play to help with the coordination of the logistics on this end of that trip. So, and there are some folks that do that. I'll point it out when we get inside. There's a signed picture of a couple of folks that they were through paddlers, and my hat's off to them, because that is quite an undertaking. So let's talk about some of these 15 passenger vans. They've all got 10-ply tires on them, because that's what you run on these back logging roads. You don't run street tires because they will not last. You need 10 plies. So those are expensive tires to maintain, and all of them have tires in great condition, because the last thing you want is to have a flat miles from civilization, because you didn't take care of your tires. And it looks like they all are. All the tires are in great shape. So the newest van is a 2019 GMC, and then there's a 2013 Ford, and a 2000 Dodge, and then a 1999 Chevy Express van, and 1996 Chevy Crew Cab pickup, as well as a 2024 GMC 3500 Crew Cab pickup. And that one must be out in the field with one of the Canoe trailers because I don't see it here. But there's a lot of equipment here that's good to go, and that's why Norman can handle a big crew, because he's got the capacity to do it. And none of the other outfitters in this area are as well equipped. So we're looking for someone to take the baton. This is, again, a business that's been around for 75 years, and there's a need that will continually be here. And so it's an opportunity for someone to step into the outdoor recreation business here in northern Maine, right on the edge of the North Maine woods, for a really good price, $499,000. You get a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home, 10 acres of riverfront land, over 60 canoes and racks and vans and pickup trucks, and then and if you're willing to listen, a year's worth of mentorship from Norman, who's run this business for 40 years. So with that, let's take a little closer look at the exterior of the home, and then we'll head in. So Norman just pulled in with, he picked up a couple of folks that just finished their trip down the Allagash. They're from California, and he picked them up, I think at Mission Farm, and brought them here where their vehicle is, so that they can end their journey. And they had a nice trip. They saw a lot of eagles on the waterway, and didn't see any moose on the waterway, but they saw moose going to it when they began their journey. And that's one of the things you'll see is a lot of wildlife in this part of northern Maine. So we're here on Main Street in St. Francis. The street address for this property is 1007 Main Street, St. Francis, Maine. The home, we're unsure of exactly when it was originally built, but there was a fire in the property about 17 years ago, and about 2/3 of the house was completely rebuilt right to the stud. So it's got new wiring, new plumbing, new insulation, new sheetrock, new windows, new doors. So for all intents and purposes, the functional age of the home is about 20 years. It's in really, the exterior is in pretty decent shape. It's got vinyl siding, got a nice covered porch. Looks to be pressure treated decking that's got that's painted. And we're right next to Joe's Country Store. The house has metal roofing that was put on at the time when the renovation, the rebuild was done. So it's roughly 17 years old. Got a 2-car attached garage, and it's on a full foundation with a dry basement. In addition to the 2-car garage attached to the house, you've got a nice little garage storage building here for extra equipment. Norman buys his fuel in bulk, so when he comes back with a vehicle, he can top it off. So when you get up and you grab the keys in the morning, you got to go meet some people at 6 o'clock to get them on the waterway by 10 or whatever their schedule is dictating. You don't suddenly look down at your gas gauge and say, oh man, I should have put some fuel in. There's no excuses. You have it right here. And there's an older building here that's used to house all the canoe paddles and life jackets. Let me step inside the check that out. Canoe and life jacket, canoe paddle storage building. Get all the life jackets hung up neatly, not just thrown in a pile on the floor. Everything's pretty well taken care of. All kinds of paddles and miscellaneous bungee straps and ropes and air filters for the vehicles. Norman's got 40 years of experience to help people operate a profitable and efficient business. So we're here on the back side of the home, and again, it's got fairly fresh vinyl siding that's all in really good shape. Nice metal roof. And updated electrical, updated plumbing. We'll see all that when we get downstairs in the basement. Norman doesn't live in this home. He resides nearby in town of St. John. So he rents these rooms to canoeists and hunters and whatnot, short-term rental. But this home is available for you if you're moving here from away and you need a place to live. This is a house that is part of the business. So you could definitely use this as your home base. So let's head inside and take a look at the house. The house is in great condition. Stepping inside, the main home at 1007 Main Street here in the town of St. Francis, the home base of Pelletier Campground. And you come into kind of the foyer laundry room area. Got a washer and dryer. Got a full bath off of that area with a stand-up shower. One of the 2 bedrooms. Got vinyl plank flooring. Everything's freshly painted, in good shape. Now, when that fire took place, and they renovated about 2/3 of the house. It's basically from this area here, the laundry room, is part of the original house. And this has all been updated over here. The kitchen, living room, upstairs bedroom, and upstairs bath. Get more vinyl plank flooring here. A fully appliance kitchen, electric range, dishwasher, this refrigerator. This doorway goes down into the basement area. We'll go there in a minute. The home is heated with a hot water baseboard boiler. You can see some of the baseboard here. There's also a Renai propane heater as well for backup. Let's head upstairs. The stairway's carpeted. And upstairs you got vinyl plank flooring throughout the area. And a nice kind of open concept bedroom area that sleeps a couple of folks. There's a large closet. And this is on its own zone. Here's a thermostat. And again, another full bath. So let's head down in the basement. So we're down in the basement area, and again, the original build date for this home is unknown, but this area here has all been rebuilt after the fire. You can see where they replaced and reinforced some timbers. The whole thing is on a poured concrete foundation, and it looks to me, I can't be certain because the history of the home is really kind of clouded, but I would surmise that originally it was probably not even on a foundation, and that this was poured, somewhere 40 years ago after the fact. They jacked up the house and poured a foundation underneath it, but it is all poured concrete. The walls have recently been, last fall, I believe, had spray foam sprayed on all the exterior wall area to make it more energy efficient. It has a full house water softener. Here's where your private well water comes in. It's got a nice Boilermate off the hot water boiler. You can see all the copper piping is new. This was all updated, so everything here is roughly 20 years old, which is young for a main heating system. In this area here, you got a Modine heater that was added last fall to add some heat down in this area of the basement. And this area here is utilized for storage of some of the camping equipment, miscellaneous items that you may rent out to canoeists that need a cook set or a cooler or bedroll. Most of the basics are here. So let's head up into the garage area. So this is the 2-car attached garage. It could be used to put vehicles in, but Norm, again, he lives someplace else, so he utilizes this area as kind of an office and to store some of the other equipment. His lawnmower that goes with the business that keeps the grounds in good shape. In the summertime, this makes a great office location. It's always nice to have an air compressor on hand, especially if you're running multiple vehicles that you might need to, plug a leak or whatnot. You can take care of it. And the garage is in very, very good shape. So I'm sitting down here at Pelletier Campground with the owner and proprietor, Norm L'Italien, who's operated this for nearly 4 decades, Norm, huh?
Yes, we're in year 39, season 39. I started as the owner in 86, but I was helping out from 78 to 86. My father-in-law had the business before me, and every weekend he had a little something for me to do. It had to be me, so I sort of say I got conditioned into this business, but I've enjoyed it all along, and if I had to do it all over, maybe at 34 years old, I would. I've learned a lot through the years, so it'd be a lot easier than it was.
So there were a few probably hard lessons in the beginning, probably.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah, but anyway, it sort of things started clicking together, and it got easier for me, and I've really enjoyed it. It's a business that you meet a lot of people from New England and the rest of the states, and even from Europe. I just went to pick up a couple. The man was originally from Pakistan, and the lady grew up in Turkey. So meet people from everywhere. They uh, they now live in California, but they enjoy doing the Allagash. They've been here before.
Yeah, that's nice. Prior to selling real estate, I ran a guiding business, and then some of the people that I met through the years of my operation, I still maintain relationships with, and you develop friendships with a lot of people, and I'm sure you have a lot of clients that have you probably met 20 years ago that may still come back from time to time.
Yeah, that's true, Rick. I've met clients more than 20 years ago. I have clients that have been coming here since well, after 87. And there's still a handful of clients that were dealing with my father-in-law before 86. Not many, but there's still some out there. Um, I met a young lady one time. She was 2.5 months old, and I met her 4 or 5 years ago when she was 22 years old, and with her husband. I've met I met one of my drill sergeants one time. Was a drill sergeant in Fort Dix that I met in '71, and I met him 40 years later, almost to the day, in 2011, sitting behind me in one of my vans that I was transporting him and his friends to Churchill Dam. So and there are others that I met, but I don't want to prioritize over other people. Everybody uh, is always treated the same with me, and I've enjoyed that. I try to be fair to everyone, and I've earned my dues through the years. I am on YouTube. I'm in 5 or 6 books, and people. A lot of my business comes from word of mouth. They tell their friends, and the phone calls come in, and people are knocking at my door. So it's a good feeling to have that feeling, to have people knock at your door. So uh, it's the the uh, the clientele is there through the years. It's been there, and it's still there. So we're doing good.
So
Yeah.
this is a great opportunity for someone that wants to take the baton. Norman's looking for someone to take this business that has been going for over 75 years, 40 of them under his tutelage, and the need's not going to go away. The Allagash River is always going to be there. The St. John is always going to be there, and people are looking for outdoor recreation, and they need assistance in doing in the logistics planning of how do how do I do this Allagash trip? Well, you call someone like Norm to ask some questions and get some assistance on how to take care of, getting your vehicles dropped off, picked up, getting you picked up, and all that coordination. So there's business there to be had if you're willing to work for it. So this is a great opportunity, turnkey business, coming with all the equipment, the web pages, the word of mouth advertising. I checked out Norman or Pelletier Campground's Google page. It's got a stellar reputation on there. Uh, all for $499,000. So you want to give Rick Theriault, your Maine Real Estate guy, a call at area code 207-731-9902. And let's come up and check out St. Francis Pelletier Campground and see if this is the next chapter in your life.